$2,071. That's the average Social Security check for 2026. And in most of America, it's a slow-motion disaster. In some states, that money vanishes before the month is even half over. Rent eats it alive. Groceries finish it off. Millions of retirees are quietly choosing between their medication and their electric bill after working their entire lives. But here's what nobody's telling you. There are hidden towns in Texas, real places, with real hospitals, real lakes, real neighbors, where that same $2,071 doesn't just survive. It actually stretches. Where your rent could be less than $600 a month. Where you could pay every bill and still have money left over. Sounds too good to be true, right? Stick with me, because we're counting down 10 hidden Texas towns where your Social Security check is finally enough. And number 1 will make you check your calendar. Number 10. Wichita Falls. Let's kick off our countdown with a town that quietly holds a crown almost nobody talks about. Year after year, Wichita Falls ranks as the single most affordable city in all of Texas. And once you see the numbers, you'll understand why. Here's the headline. The cost of living here sits about 10% below the national average, and the median home price is under $200,000. Now stop and think about that for a second. Across most of the country, the average home costs around $420,000. That means in Wichita Falls, you're getting a whole house for less than half of what your neighbors in California or New York are paying. And if you'd rather rent? A 2-bedroom runs around $1,100 a month, leaving you real, breathing room money on a $2,071 check. But this isn't some empty, forgotten town where there's nothing to do. Picture waking up and strolling the Circle Trail, a 20-mile network of paths that winds right along the river. Picture a genuine man-made waterfall tucked inside Lucy Park. Picture a peaceful lake sitting right on the edge of town, where you can drop a fishing line on a lazy Tuesday afternoon. No traffic, no crowds, no rush. This is small city living with actual things to enjoy. And here's the practical gold you can use. Wichita Falls is anchored by Shepherd Air Force Base. Why does that matter to you? Because a military town means the local economy stays rock-solid steady, even when the rest of the country wobbles. It also means dependable healthcare access and a real hospital nearby. Something every retiree should put near the top of their list. So if your goal is simple, the most home, the most stability, and the most dollars stretched the furthest, Wichita Falls is the perfect place to begin our journey. But trust me, it only gets better from here. Number 9. Mineral wells. Just about an hour west of Fort Worth sits a town with a fascinating past, and a present that's turning heads for all the right reasons. Over a century ago, Mineral Wells was one of the most famous health resorts in America. People traveled from all over the country to drink its legendary Crazy Water mineral springs, hoping to cure whatever ailed them. Grand hotels went up. Crowds poured in. And then, slowly, the world moved on. But here's the beautiful part. Mineral Wells is in the middle of a real comeback, and the prices haven't caught up yet. That's exactly where the opportunity lives. Let's talk numbers. Depending on which source you check, average apartments run around $795 a month, with 1-bedrooms landing near $700. That's more than half below the national average rent. Read that again. You could rent a 1-bedroom for about the price of a modest used car payment, and still have the bulk of your $2,071 check sitting comfortably in your pocket at the end of the month. Now picture the lifestyle. A walkable, historic downtown that's slowly filling back up with cozy cafes, antique shops, and that small-town charm you thought had disappeared decades ago. The famous Baker Hotel, a towering local landmark, has been at the center of restoration buzz. There's a quiet, hopeful energy here, the feeling of a place on its way up, not fading away. And here's your practical takeaway. Mineral Wells gives you the golden combination of small-town prices with big city backup. Fort Worth's major hospitals, its airport, and its shopping are all just about an hour's drive away. So on most days, you get peace, quiet, and low bills. But whenever you need the resources of a big city, they're right there waiting. For retirees who want calm most of the time and convenience some of the time, Mineral Wells hits a rare sweet spot. Number 8. Brownwood. Right in the geographic center of the state sits a town built around water. And for anyone who's ever dreamed of retiring near a lake without paying brutal coastal prices, Brownwood might just be your answer. The whole town orbits around Lake Brownwood, a genuine draw for fishing, boating, and those slow golden evenings watching the sun sink over the water. And unlike a Florida or California lake town, the price of admission here is refreshingly gentle. Let's look at the real numbers. The median home price sits around $210,000, comfortably below the Texas median, and 1- and 2-bedroom apartments land right in the $900 to $1,000 range. Do the math against a $2,071 Social Security check, and you're looking at a lake town where your housing is covered and you've still got money left for groceries, gas, and a fishing license. Now picture the day-to-day. Brownwood is the kind of place where the pharmacist knows your name, where a trip out to the lake takes 15 minutes instead of 2 hours, and where traffic is something that happens in other people's cities. It's home to Howard Payne University, so there's a little college town energy sprinkled in, plus a real hospital and the everyday services you actually need close by. And here's the relatable truth so many retirees feel in their bones. The dream isn't a mansion. It's peace. It's a porch, a view of the water, and enough money left over to not lie awake worrying at night. Brownwood delivers exactly that. Your practical tip. If lakeside living is the dream you've quietly carried for years, this is one of the very few Texas towns where it's genuinely achievable on a fixed income. Don't just take my word for it. Pull up the listings and see for yourself. But hold on, because our next town takes affordability to a whole different level. Number 7. Del Rio. Head southwest toward the border and you'll stumble onto one of the best-kept secrets in the entire Southwest. A town sitting right beside a shimmering, massive body of water most Americans have never even heard of. That water is Lake Amistad, an enormous reservoir straddling the Rio Grande, famous for world-class bass fishing, boating, and crystal-clear coves. And the town guarding it. Del Rio, where the cost of living is almost hard to believe. Here's the story the numbers tell. Several cost of living sources put Del Rio at roughly 19% below the national average. And when it comes to rent, one-bedroom apartments outside the town center have been reported near $694 a month. Picture that. A sub-$700 rent, minutes from a lake that people in other states would pay a fortune to live beside. On a $2,071 check, that's a seriously low floor and a whole lot of breathing room. Now imagine the lifestyle. Warm weather nearly year-round. A rich, bilingual border culture where the food is incredible and the community is tight-knit. Quiet mornings on the water, and evenings where your biggest decision is which taco stand to visit. There's even the famous San Felipe Springs, feeding the area with clear, natural water, a nod to the region's beauty. But let me give you the honest, practical tip that keeps this real. Rents in border towns can swing quite a bit from one listing to the next, and some sources show higher numbers than others. So this is a place where renting first before you buy truly pays off. Spend a season there. Learn the neighborhoods. Let that low rent quietly build your savings cushion before you ever think about committing long-term. Del Rio proves that affordable and beautiful don't have to be opposites. And our next town? It's got a college town twist you'll love. Number 6. Kingsville. Our next stop is a town wrapped in genuine Texas legend. Kingsville is home to the King Ranch, one of the largest ranches in the entire world, so massive it's bigger than the whole state of Rhode Island. This is cowboy country in its purest, most authentic form. But for retirees, the real magic is in the combination Kingsville offers. You see, this isn't just a sleepy ranch town. It's also home to Texas A&M Kingsville, which means you get that lively, youthful college town energy layered right on top of some of the lowest living costs in the state. And that mix is pure gold for anyone on a fixed income. Now brace yourself for these numbers. The median home value sits around $124,000. Go ahead and read that one twice. And average rents hover near $890 a month, roughly 46% below the national average. Against your $2,071 Social Security check, that leaves an enormous chunk of money untouched every single month. But here's why a college town matters so much for a retiree, beyond just the price. It means you get a real hospital, a well-stocked pharmacy, cultural events, live music, sporting events, and a steady flow of young energy, all the perks of a bigger city, without the big city price tag or the big city stress. You're never bored, and you're never far from what you need. And here's a practical tip most people completely overlook. College towns like Kingsville often offer continuing education programs for seniors, many of them free or nearly free. Want to finally learn Spanish, take a painting class, or study history just for the joy of it? You can do it here, on a budget, while keeping your mind sharp and your social calendar full. Kingsville proves that living cheaply doesn't mean living small. But our next town might be the most exciting one yet, because it's got rocket ships. Number 5. Brownsville. Now we drop all the way down to the very southern tip of Texas, and things get genuinely thrilling. Brownsville is a warm, sun-soaked border city that offers something almost impossible to find anywhere else in America: the beach lifestyle at a bargain price. Picture this. You're just 30 minutes from the white sands of South Padre Island. Your town has 46 parks to wander through, multiple golf courses to enjoy, and thanks to SpaceX's launch facility just down the road, there's a genuine electric buzz of new energy and jobs pouring into the area. You might literally watch a rocket climb into the sky from your own backyard. Here's what makes it work financially. Brownsville's cost of living runs about 12% below the national average, with median rents around $1,038 and a median home value that's a fraction of the national figure. This is one of the very few places on Earth where the words beach town and affordable actually belong in the same sentence, and your $2,071 check can genuinely handle it. And the culture, it's rich, warm, and beautifully bilingual, a true cosmopolitan border city with incredible food, deep traditions, and friendly faces. Healthcare is solid too, anchored by Valley Baptist Medical Center, so you've got real medical support close to home. But let me give you the honest practical tip, because credibility matters. This is hurricane country. From June through November, Storms are a real possibility, which means your homeowner's insurance will run higher here, especially with the added windstorm coverage coastal areas require. So build that extra cost into your budget before you fall in love with a listing. Do that, and Brownsville hands you sunshine, sand, and space-age excitement, all on a retirement income. But our next town is the one snowbirds have been quietly flocking to for decades. Number 4. Harlingen. Just up the road from Brownsville sits what many consider the absolute crown jewel of retirement in the Rio Grande Valley. And the data backs up every bit of the hype. If you've ever dreamed of swaying palm trees, warm winters, and a check that finally feels like enough, lean in close for this one. Let's start with the number that says it all. Harlingen's cost of living runs about 20% below the national average. That's a massive discount on nearly everything: your rent, your groceries, your daily life. The median home value sits around $155,000, and depending on which source you trust, median rents fall roughly between $695 and $980 a month. Now let's do the math that matters. A rent under $1,000, sometimes well under, against your $2,071 Social Security check means you're keeping more than half your money every single month. Under palm trees, in a place where your old heavy winter coat becomes completely useless. But here's the real secret weapon of Harlingen. It is a magnet for winter Texans, those snowbirds who flee the frozen north every year. And that's created something priceless, an entire ecosystem built for retirees. We're talking senior social clubs, dances, RV communities, family learning centers, clinics that understand older patients, and events happening all week long. If you've ever worried about feeling lonely or isolated in retirement, Harlingen practically hands you a ready-made community the moment you arrive. Here's your practical tip. Because so many retirees cycle through seasonally, you can often find fantastic deals on furnished rentals, and you can test drive the town for a winter before ever committing. Talk to the winter Texans already there. They'll tell you everything you need to know. Harlingen is warm, welcoming, and wonderfully affordable. But our next town wears a national crown. Let's keep climbing. Number 3. Eagle Pass. Now we reach a town that doesn't just win in Texas, it wins in the entire country. Eagle Pass has been named by U.S. News and World Report as the single most affordable place to retire in all of America. Not the most affordable in Texas. The most affordable, period. When a national report crowns one small border town above thousands of others, that's a headline worth stopping for. So let's look at why. U.S. News lists a median home value around $185,000 and, depending on which dataset you dig into, median rents reported as low as the 600s per month. Even the higher estimates keep it sitting comfortably inside a Social Security budget with room to spare. On a $2,071 check, a rent in the 600s means your housing swallows less than a third of your income. That's not just surviving, that's living with a genuine cushion. Picture the setting. A warm, welcoming town on the banks of the Rio Grande, rich with bilingual border culture, incredible food, and a slower, friendlier pace of life. Nearby, Lake Amistad is close enough for weekend fishing trips, and the cost of everyday essentials stays refreshingly low across the board. But here's the honest, practical caveat, and this is exactly the kind of thing most videos won't tell you. Like several border towns, Eagle Pass has seen rents and insurance premiums tick upward recently, and different sources report noticeably different numbers. So don't just trust a single headline. Get real, current quotes, walk the neighborhoods yourself, and talk to locals before you fall in love with any listing. Do your homework, and you'll be settling into the town that ranks as the most budget-friendly retirement spot in the whole nation. But believe it or not, we've still got 2 towns with even lower rent numbers. Let's keep going. Number 2, Plainview. Way up in the flat, wide-open Texas Panhandle sits a town that delivers one of the most jaw-dropping numbers in this entire countdown. If you've been waiting for the moment where the price makes you gasp, this is it. Here it is. Plainview's average rent is around $796 a month, roughly 52% below the national average, more than half off. Let that fully sink in for a moment. Now let's connect it to your check. On a $2,071 Social Security payment, a rent near $796 means your housing eats up less than 40% of your income. That leaves the vast majority of your money free for food, medicine, savings, and, imagine this, actually enjoying your retirement instead of white-knuckling every bill. This is the kind of number that changes what getting by even means. So what's Plainview actually like? It's small. It's quiet. It's unpretentious. Sitting between Lubbock and Amarillo, it offers those endless Panhandle horizons where the sky goes on forever and the pace of life slows to something almost forgotten. There's a college here, Wayland Baptist University, plus the everyday essentials, grocery stores, a hospital, and neighbors who genuinely look out for one another. It's the definition of peaceful, no-frills living. But here's the honest, practical tip you need. The Panhandle gets real winters and real wind. We're talking cold snaps, gusty days, and the occasional dusting of snow. So if you're a snowbird specifically chasing warm weather, this probably isn't your spot. The Rio Grande Valley towns we covered earlier would suit you better. But if what you crave is silence, wide open space, and a rent so low it looks like a typo, Plainview is almost impossible to beat. And yet, there's one town left that stretches your dollar even further. Here's number 1. Number 1, Vernon. Here we are, the very top of the list. And Vernon, tucked away in North Texas near the Oklahoma border, is the town that quietly outvalues every other place on this countdown. If the earlier numbers made you raise an eyebrow, this one might make your jaw hit the floor. Take a deep breath, because here are the figures. Vernon has a median home value of around $81,000, not a typo. $81,000 for a home, in a country where the average house now costs over $400,000. And the rent? One cost of living source reports a median monthly rent near $517. Say it slowly. $517. Against a $2,071 Social Security check, that's a rent that swallows barely a quarter of your income. Overall, Vernon runs about 21% below the national average on cost of living. This isn't a check that's merely enough. This is a check that suddenly feels abundant. This is money left over for a trip to see the grandkids, for a nicer dinner out, for a savings account that finally grows instead of shrinks. So what's the trade-off, honestly? Vernon is small and rural. You're swapping shopping malls and nightlife for quiet streets, big skies, and neighbors who wave when you drive by. There's still a hospital, still the essentials, still that unmistakable warmth of small-town Texas. But if you need constant hustle and bustle, this won't be your speed. But if your true goal is to take a fixed income and make it feel rich, to finally stop worrying and start breathing, Vernon is the hidden gem sitting quietly at the top of this entire list. It's proof that the dream of a comfortable retirement isn't dead. You just have to know where to look. And now, let me hand you the insider tips that could save you thousands. Bonus: 3 insider tips that could save you thousands. Before you start dreaming about which town is yours, let me arm you with 3 money-saving secrets that most people never hear, and any one of them could put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. Tip number 1. File for the homestead exemption the moment you buy. Remember how I said Texas property taxes are high? Well, this is your shield. The homestead exemption can knock up to $40,000 off your home's taxable value, instantly shrinking that scary tax bill on your primary residence. It's free money, but only if you file for it. Don't leave it on the table. Tip number 2, and this is the big one for retirees, the over 65 tax ceiling. Once you hit 65 in Texas, a large portion of your school property taxes essentially gets frozen in place. That means as home values climb around you, that chunk of your tax bill stops rising. For someone on a fixed income, that kind of predictability is worth its weight in gold. Ask your local county appraisal office about it the day you qualify. Tip number 3. Remember that summer. AC is your hidden fourth bill. In Texas, July and August can push your electric bill toward $300 a month as the air conditioner runs non-stop. But here's the good news. Texas has a deregulated power market, which means you get to shop around and choose your electricity provider. Lock in a smart, low fixed rate before you move in, and you can shave real money off those brutal summer months. So there you have it, 10 hidden Texas towns. From sun-soaked beach cities to peaceful lakesides to Panhandle bargains, where the average $2,071 Social Security check isn't just barely enough. It's enough to actually live, breathe, and enjoy your retirement. The truth is, a comfortable retirement isn't out of reach. It's just hiding in places most people never think to look. And now you know exactly where they are. If this video opened your eyes to what's genuinely possible, do me a quick favor. Smash that like button so more retirees can find this, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. And I really want to hear from you. Which of these 10 towns would you actually pack up and move to? Drop the name in the comments below. I read them all. And if you're serious about stretching your retirement dollars even further, click the video popping up on your screen right now. One important disclaimer. The housing, rent, and cost of living figures shared in this video are based on the most recent 2025 and 2026 data available, and they can change quickly depending on the neighborhood and the season. This content is for general informational purposes only and is not financial, tax, or real estate advice. Before making any major move, please verify the current numbers yourself and speak with a qualified financial, tax, or real estate professional about your specific situation. Thanks for watching. And here's to finally finding a place where your money and your peace of mind can breathe.